Juniper.
This is Tamlin.
This is Stephanie.
This is Lauren.
And we're talking about justice and punishment in America.
White people think of the law and police, but I don't think people of color think that at all. And that's
In America, we have this idea that when someone does something that is bad or perceived to be bad, you have to punish them for it. And that is what most Americans view as justice, and that is why it's so important to have a change in our mindset, because in America right now we have thousands and thousands of people who are in prison,
For
many
false
of them, most
accusations.
of them, for drug charges and false imprisonments and just influenced by racism, by prejudice, etc., etc. And it's targeting the poorest, the most oppressed communities in America who just really cannot stand up and fight back. Like Brian Stevenson said in his book, you are punished for being poor and I'm paraphrasing here, you are punished for being poor and innocent while the guilty and rich get off scotch-free.
Think about how that idea has kind of evolved today, and you think about it, felons aren't allowed to vote, and in most cases it's really hard for them to find jobs. So I feel like that's more like a modernized version of what they had going on back then, just less.
And who are the
apparent.
felons? The minorities.
Exactly.
The African Americans, the Latinos.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to be better and better themselves if they have all these constraints of not being able to get jobs because of their track record, which was probably some fake charges.
Yeah.
And how are they supposed to get a home if people don't want a felon to live there?
Yeah. It's just stripping away their rights as human beings. You know, it starts with the color of your skin. It starts with how rich or poor you are. And then as you grow up, things start changing. You know, say, you're 16-year-old and you're smoking weed with your friends, and hey, you get busted for that. You get sent to juvie. And then, or even to an adult prison. And then that's on your record. If things take a turn from there, it's just added on new, different charges against your rights as a human being. And it's just stripping away your humanity in the eyes of everyone.
And there's no way to get out of that cycle. Like, you go to prison, which doesn't really focus on rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about capitalizing on you go to prison, you get out, you're not allowed to get a job, or it's hard for you to get a job, you're not eligible for housing anymore from the government, you're not allowed to vote. So how many options do you have left?
And, it's even so bad that people do things that they want to go back to prison. Like, they find prison better, they find being in prison better off than being out in the real world, because in the real world, they're limited and they're stuck.
Yeah.
Prison is a roof over your head, you know?
That goes back to, Troy Williams and how he said that he wanted to better himself. He couldn't, so he went back to his old ways of life and then ended up back in prison for how many years?
25 years.
25 years.
Fun.
And when he got out, he was like, I've lost all this time in my life. But it's because of the law and people.
And for those listening, Troy Williams was placed in a 10-foot long cell by a 4-foot long cell. And he lived there for 25 years. I mean, just think about that. Troy Williams said, if somebody had a dog living in that condition, they would get arrested for animal cruelty. The dog would be taken away from them. And yet we treat human beings like that. And in some cases, children like that. In many cases, children like that. Think about your child living in a 10-foot by 4-foot cell where there's constant noise and abuse